Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. We're honored to have in the studio with us the Lieutenant Governor for the state of Indiana, Sue Ellspermann. Sue, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to see you, Bill.
We're going to do two shows with Lieutenant Governor, one for tonight and then one that will be airing tomorrow night, part two. Tonight we're going to talk about the good things that happened in the state of Indiana this past year, and then tomorrow night we'll talk about the things that we look forward to in the next few years. All right. Well, Lieutenant Governor, it's always a pleasure to have you here, and it's good, I guess, for you to be home.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to be home over a week. Usually that's limited to 1 or 2 nights at most on weekends, but it's been a joy to be home and be with family. And I hope everyone in our area in Southwest Indiana has had that same privilege of spending good quality time with family and friends.
Now, Indiana has had a great year this year. Of course, there's always been some little bumps in the road, things that come up. Let's talk about the state of Indiana's, I guess, the Lieutenant Governor's state of the state.
State of the state. Well, I don't want to preempt the governor on any of that state of the state stuff, but just some of the highlights I think most people would recall in our experiences is our great economic rebound, that we now are 5.7% unemployment as compared to 6.9 last year. So just in the last year, seeing another drop of a percentage, that we are adding jobs. So we added over almost 70,000 jobs in this past year, and that gets us very close to our high water mark of private sector jobs that Governor and I are focused on in our first 4 years. So that's all going well. We had record numbers of jobs announcements again. So the IEDC, our Economic Development Corporation, had a record year last year. They had a record year again this year. So we broke kind of all the past records on numbers of companies and the jobs that are coming in and the investment to Indiana for those future jobs. Now those are, what's nice to know is those are the jobs that are still coming in the next year or 2 or 3. So very, very optimistic that from a business-friendly place, from a state where companies want to locate and grow, we're doing very, very well. So that's one exciting area.
Now, that also brings challenges. And
yes,
I
it
know,
does.
Especially in our area, the challenge is that when unemployment is so low, there's a lot of jobs to fill. You can't necessarily fill them. Or then, I know, like in the town of Fernan and soon in the city of Jasper, housing. Then becomes an issue because people need to live there.
It's a great problem to have. At your 4% unemployment here in Du Bois County, that certainly is a good problem. But we'd like to get everyone there. And in the midst of that, in addition to housing, the workforce becomes the issue. So we know that there's a big mismatch in skills of the workforce to the jobs that are coming. And that's been the second priority that we've been working on for these 2 years. And this past summer, we completed the strategic plan with the Career Council on how we move forward, so that you'll see changes in career counseling, how we go about doing that earlier, helping our students know. Indiana is doing the first statewide review of supply and demand so that we understand statewide how many jobs are there in particular industry or career sectors. And that information is very eye-opening. I'll share one piece that we discovered is that we right now have 12,000 openings in the computer science IT arena. Now, they're not all 4-year degrees, but there's a lot of 4 years and a lot of 2 years and a lot of certifications, but 12,000, that's a big gap. So that's one of those areas where we'll want to encourage our universities to offer more. We'll want to encourage through career counseling more young people to pursue those. And those are, as you know, great technology jobs. They pay well. They're very important for driving innovation in our state and in our industry. So that's just one of many things that you'll see us encouraging. In fact, a second part is really encouraging those internships and work experiences to happen. So while I'm home here, the Young Professional Club of Du Bois County is hosting a career fair for internships next summer. So I'm going to pop out there and just commend the work, because we have to encourage employers to offer those internships, and we need to encourage the students in our area to take them up on them. And what we know about that is not only will it help direct them in their education, it really greatly increases the probability they will stay here. When they find kind of the cool things, the good jobs that are here in our region, we'll keep more of the talent that we have.
One of the, I guess, divisions under the Lieutenant Governor offices that you see, it has to do with agriculture.
Yes.
Have there been significant strides in agriculture this year?
Well,
good things there?
A couple of things that we accomplished this year. We did our first trade mission. It was an agriculture trade mission, so visited South Korea, Taiwan, and Japan. Out of that, we're seeing a number of new projects going forward with our private sector. So from popcorn to hog production to dairy, we're seeing those projects moving forward. But as importantly, we've strengthened the relationships with those countries, and we signed a number of MOUs over there, memorandums of understanding around our corn and soybeans, hardwoods, which would probably be the top 3 things that we export today, but many more opportunities. And now we're planning a second trip to China this summer. So that was very good. The other area of agriculture that we focused on this year was really helping Hoosiers understand what agriculture is today, modern agriculture. So a project called Promoting the Good Works of Indiana Agriculture was something that my office led, along with all of the players like Farm Bureau and the Indiana Soybean Alliance and Purdue, and all coming together to say, how do we do this? Well, we had 30 different teams from across our 17 universities compete for a prize, a $25,000 prize on how do we tell that story better. Huntington University won. The interesting byproduct is that Huntington University is now launching an agricultural program. So in the past we've had, and we're so proud of Purdue with their number 6 in the world agriculture program, but we have a strong demand in Indiana, not just for farming, but for agribusiness. So we're home to Elanco Animal Health, which is a Lilly division. We're home to Dow AgriSciences, Beck Hybrids. So if we want to grow that, the value added, the next value added part of agriculture, we need those skill sets. So pretty excited that that happened as well.
You also established the Blue Ribbon.
Yes.
And you know, time flies. That was this year.
That was this year, this spring, this summer. The Blue Ribbon panel was looking at our transportation needs for the next decade. So I co-chaired with Kathy Langham of Langham Logistics, and we had really a number of voices around the table with us, mostly private sector, sharing with us as business owners, large manufacturers, distribution companies, as well as several mayors and airport authorities, et cetera, really talking through what should the priorities be. So we completed that report in June of this year. It is now, it lays out Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and the Tier 1 recommendations, which are the highest priority, are INDOT has now adopted. So they are being worked into the plan. I think the question is, we know that in this next budget and beyond, transportation funding will be something that we really need. If we're going to keep Indiana the crossroads of America, we're going to have to fix the gas tax problem, because obviously most of us are using much less gas today with energy efficient vehicles. So we're going to have to find a better way, a user fee-based way that appropriately allows us to capture enough to maintain our infrastructure. The average Hoosier pays about $300 a year for the privilege of driving on every road in the state. You know, so when you think about that, that's not a very big investment when you compare to your internet and all the other services we expect. But it's trying to find an appropriate, based on how much you used it, how much should you pay? And that's a new problem to be solved that we're not quite there yet.
Now, what's been a personal highlight for you this year? I mean, as a lieutenant governor, I don't know how much of a life you really can have, but what sort of thing was for you a highlight?
Yeah, I'd certainly say representing Indiana on the trade mission was an unbelievable privilege to visit with high-ranking officials, always the Ministry of Agriculture, sat down with the Vice President of Taiwan, You know, that's pretty big stuff. But at the personal level as well, one of my favorite projects we did this year was blight elimination. And, you know, it hits my heart so much when having knocked on so many doors over the last 5 years in these areas, and we know our small towns as well as our urban areas have been struggling, and we know it's hard to attract people into our communities if they don't look good and they're not safe. And so the blight elimination program that we were able to do with our Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority in cooperation with U.S. Treasury, being able to put $75 million towards taking down the worst of the worst homes across the state, over 4,000 of them, really is something that I'm very, very proud of this year. And I know as I speak to the mayors, and now that those homes are starting to come down, what a breath of fresh air and life it breathes into a community when they now have the opportunity to take that cleaned lot and put something new in there.
Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about the exciting things that are coming up for the state of Indiana. Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, it's been a good year, as you said, and we're very happy about it, but we know there's still more work to do.
Indiana's doing great. Thank you to the Lieutenant Governor, Sue Ellspermann, who's joined us. Join us again tomorrow night at the same time, as we'll be talking with Lieutenant Governor Sue Ellspermann about the future of Indiana. Thank you, Sue, for coming in. Thank you for watching 18 WJTS. We are local people watching local people.